son's. Um,
Okay, we're going live.
okay, cool.
Uh-huh. No, I mean you could still talk.
Oh,
I ain't.
yeah. So I mean, that was just my only drawback or hesitation is that are those two things, and I'm coming to some resolve about those.
Mm,
But I got a wait list. There's plenty of money to be made, and um,
nice, nice.
yeah,
That would be.
and then I'd rather be doing what I'm doing right now, like worry free, like just.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just giving ourselves permission to
I know.
take the jump, to take the leap. You know,
Yes.
and the space that you're in now, since you're comfortable, really allows you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It
and
does.
and so one of the things that I know, like, how we talk about keeping a gratitude journal. Sometimes it is just, the fact that there's a certain level of comfort, we're in the space you're in. So sometimes
Mhm.
it's just being able to say yes to that, right? Because I know people that'll say, no, 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 that's not for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Turn down the gift. My mother used to have this
Right.
saying, talk about don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
In the
I know
mouth.
people
Hmm.
who will not accept stuff, who will give stuff back, who will, oh, that's too much, um, you know, all kind of crazy stuff to me.
Hmm.
And for me, I think about sometimes that people have laid the foundation for for us to not have to if we don't want to.
Yeah. And I say not in real life. We don't.
Mm, yeah.
We don't. Not in real life. We don't have to, except live in our bliss. Figure out what that is, and then go for it.
And that's
But
what,
just not needing permission.
yeah. But that's one
That
of the
thing.
wonderful things about this teaching. Like, this teaching tells you that you get the result, or you're at the effect of the thoughts that you think.
Yes.
And so if you think that it's got to be hard, or if you think you don't deserve it, or if you think that your people are judging you, or if you think that you won't find what you want, if you think it, you create it, because we are co-creative.
Yes. All
And
the time.
that's what gets me about, especially when people start complaining. It's like, don't you know that you created?
Right.
Because you put energy into it. That means you're calling it forth.
Right.
The more you give your attention, they energy follows thought. Wait a minute. You attract, what is the there's a thing, what is that acronym, or what you think about, you bring about. even,
Yes.
even Job says, what I fear has come upon me,
Come
because
upon me. Yeah.
we draw with our emotions and our feelings these things. And so, if you don't like what you're seeing, change your
Change your
mind.
mind. I must have made an incorrect choice because I do not have peace.
There
I
you
must
go.
choose again.
There you go. Course in
Yeah.
Miracles. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
And that in itself is powerful. But here's the thing, because my brother, yesterday I was talking to my brother, and he calls me all the time anyway. But yesterday he was like, what you doing? And I said, I am sitting here wasting some time, because what I was doing was trying to find I bought this It's a 5-year calendar book, right? And
5 years.
hate it. I hate it. It's like this ridge in the middle here. So I was looking for one that was spiral bound and that I could make, I can do some stuff in. I used to be back in the day a Franklin planner
Me
girl.
too. And I just haven't found the ability to invest like that. And you have to throw it away and start again. But now,
Yeah,
I don't know if they still have the ones that you put the leaves in, but I was like that too.
yeah.
And
I
I
was,
just thought that
yeah,
was a thing.
yes. And then when we got these phones, I was like, okay, why am I keeping 2 calendars? But now that I'm doing the 5 a.m. club, is saying that if you don't schedule it, it doesn't happen.
Happen. It's so true.
And so that's kind of like me doing my hair or me cleaning up or me, because it's always something else on my agenda or something, or I waste 2 hours looking for a book that I could have spent washing my hair. So
Right.
so I was really trying to find something where I could in my morning kind of jot out how I want my day to look. And so I spent a couple of hours doing that. And so Derek said to me, he was like, oh, he says, I know that spot. He says, getting ready to get ready. And I go,
Yes.
oh
Yes.
yeah, getting ready to get ready is that thing. So anyway,
Yes.
we are live now. So good morning,
Yay. Good morning.
good morning,
Good
good morning.
morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. The weather in Cleveland, Ohio is going to be so beautiful. I'm excited.
Yeah, it is. It is. And so I'm excited too. I met Erica yesterday, which was a
Okay.
wonderful experience. Yeah. And so now it's like I got a real energy, got to be in that space. And it's so funny because when we talk to people online, there's like I was talking about the levels of knowing. We know people
Mm-hmm.
on one level because we're sharing here. And then when you see people in person, there's a whole different energy and dynamic. And in their space, it's a whole energy and dynamic. So I am so glad that I had that opportunity. So, now having said that, let me do my prayer and so just breathe. Oh, how wonderful it is just to be able to breathe in this moment. I mean, there are people that have struggled for breath, that struggle for their breath,
Right.
and or not breathing.
Yeah.
And so when we breathe, it's like we're connected because everything breathes.
Yep. Wow. That's so
Connected
good.
to all that is.
Mm.
So in this moment, we just recognize this oneness with God. So Father, Mother God, in this space, we give thanks that you breathe us. We don't even have to think about it. We give thanks for the words that are spoken here. We give thanks for the light, love, and wisdom to the highest degree. We give thanks for the posses that travel along with us. We have spirit beings, light beings, teachers, ancestors, ascended masters, all those that are on our path. We give thanks that and invite them into this space to help facilitate this conversation, this love, this sharing. So we
Yes.
just let it be. And so it is.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
and
Yes.
you know
So
what?
I know, Sandra, that you already have this belief that you can touch it and heal it, and if it ain't happening, it's because the person on the other end is not at that space.
Okay.
But as I'm journeying,
journaling.
Journal, but not journaling, journeying through this
Okay.
book.
Uh-huh.
I it just seems just so natural to understand that we have the ability to co-heal and co-create with one another. Like we have, it's like when it can be effortless if two people are in agreement. Like the notion that being able to be intuitive with the healing and intuitive with seeing and being able to hear feels so like comforting.
But okay, now, so yes, right. On one level, I know that, right?
Yeah.
But on there's a different level though, because Carolyn Miss will tell you one of the things she was like saying, and one of the reasons why I do all this foundational conversation is because Carolyn will say to you, liars don't heal.
Mm.
So the first book that I read by her was that why people don't heal and how they can.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
When
Okay.
when you don't do the foundational work,
Huh?
I don't care who praying over you,
Right.
right? Or how healthy you eat.
Right.
If you are, if you don't have integrity in your soul, you are sick for a reason.
Yes.
And you are not going to get past that reason until you make the corrections.
Yes.
And sometimes people get so far along in their denial that it's almost like, yeah, let's scrap this one and move on to the next iteration of this soul because this person ain't gonna get it.
Right. But yeah, because that's one of the statements that I make when I'm working with people is that if you don't tell the truth, we'll be fixing a lie.
Yeah. And you can't
So
fix
I'm going to push you to come clean
it. Mm-hmm.
because without that, this is a waste. And I don't want to waste your money. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking I got a whole wait list of people who may really want to do some work. So
Mm-hmm.
we got to come clean. So this is a safe place to say, you know, I don't like my mom. I don't like my dad. This happened, like to just tell your truth. And then
Right.
we can fix it and
Right.
rebuild and start
Right.
over again. But it is the truth because otherwise it's just like, well, this is not working. Well, it's not working because you're not working it. You're not coming clean and being transparent. So yeah, I agree with that statement a lot.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so while healing is possible, right?
Mhm.
We know that healing is possible. If you haven't worked on your
Yep.
shiggity, right? If you haven't done that work, it's like full stop.
It
Full
is.
stop. It's like, Jesus said, go make peace with your brother, right? Which also means with yourself. Go
With
make peace
yourself. Yeah.
and then
And
come
tell
back.
yourself the truth. Like, hi, I'm Stephanie, I'm an alcoholic. Whatever. You just
Right,
gotta tell the truth.
right. And so sometimes we get fixed in our minds something a particular way of seeing and we get invested in it. Let me tell you what happened a couple of years ago. My family is a close family.
Mm-hmm.
But I had this one brother, he has since passed, who was, he had all his issues. He had a boatload of issues that manifested in his body as an addiction. Then he had diabetes, and then he had neuropathy, and then he had, so all of this stuff was just
All of that
pounding
makes
on
so
top
much
of each
sense.
other.
Right.
So we had gone to a funeral as the family, the whole family. Now, usually he didn't hang out with us because once he started getting clean, then he would judge us, right? because now it wasn't so much. Why is it when people get in therapy, it's no longer about them, but how bad everybody else is?
Mhm.
So we get in this car and we go to this funeral. And I mean, we deep, right? So there was 5 of us, and then we had a couple of kids in the car. So we roll out to this funeral. So my brother in a car, and the is whatever, it's hot outside because it's summertime. And so we had on the air conditioner, but he was cold. So he turns on the heat in his seat and it's blasting. And so somebody was like, says, who has on the heat? And he got mad and, I got on the heat, blah, 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 blah. I'm cold, I'm freezing, and everybody else is in there like, what the heck? So he goes from 0 to hostile, angry, like in no time. So I turn around and tell one of the kids, because we in one of those things that's got all these rows in there. I turn around and tell one of those kids, hand me my wrap back there. And so they hand up the wrap, they put the wrap. And so I took my wrap and I threw it up there to him and said, put this on, right? He turns around and slams it into my face. And when I threw it back at him, the story he started telling. Now we got a car full of people, 10 people in this.
Just 2 witnesses.
Right. The story he starts telling people is that I punched him.
Stop.
That's what he started. And the funny thing about it is that he doubled down on it. When somebody started telling him that's not how it happened, instead of him saying, oh, you know what, that's the story I told myself. No, he doubled down on it. And
that's what it felt like to him. Wonder what that was about.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was what amazed me is how often we can tell a story so much that we begin to believe it's true when it's not true. My sister, I don't like chocolate. I am not a chocolate person, right?
What?
See your face? And so when I tell people I don't like chocolate, that's what woman doesn't like chocolate? Oh my God, how could you not like chocolate? That's what I would get. So what I started doing was I started telling people I'm allergic to chocolate. And I've been saying that. I just say I'm allergic to chocolate, which basically takes away all of that reaction stuff.
Right.
So I guess a couple of years ago, my sister decided that she was going to call me on it. Stop telling people you're allergic to chocolate. You are not allergic to chocolate. You just don't like chocolate. And it's like, I thought, oh, that's right. That's right. I don't like chocolate, damn it.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you start to believe the lies that you tell, but they also have an impact on you, because when you tell a lie, the real person who receives some kind of a pushback or some kind of a something from it is you. It's like, it's not the other person that you're lying.
Yeah, it talks about that in the book. You lower your energy.
Yes. So that lie impacts me.
Yes.
So it's all about this, this coming clean. So, I used to, there was this stuff I used to try and talk to my brother in particular, because we grew up in the same house, all of us, 5 of us in this, 6 of us, because Valia is always there. So there's 6 of us in the house. And we all six going through something. When one of us got, well, Pam didn't get whoopings. We all did. Me and my brothers, we got whoopings, right? Because we were the ones that was the kids. We got whoopings together.
Mm-hmm.
The story that my brother had about the same event would be so different from ours. And so I used to wonder what that was. So remember when I was saying the other day, was it yesterday or day before, about this idea of being a victim? And
Yeah.
when you put yourself in the victim role, you take on a certain powerlessness, and then you keep compounding it by continuing to be the victim. And then you always need to have a story about what they did to us. And who the hell is they?
They.
Who is that? Ah, and so sometimes we just gotta be like willing to come clean. And I don't know, Stephanie, what that looks like when you start confronting your own lies. How do you do that? Is that
Um,
true? What do you
well,
say?
I don't know if people do it on their own. I
Okay.
think that it is it's important, that people who love us challenge that. Um, I do, or you go to therapy and then the therapist challenges it. And that's why some people don't stay in therapy. They might get a good 6 visits in and then they're like, this is too much because I got to expose myself. I mean, all healing is exposure.
Mm.
When you're working through PTSD, it's exposing yourself to the thing that triggers you to the point where it doesn't trigger you anymore. So
Oh.
not having to have the reoccurring event, but having the conversation about it, talking about it, and then telling the brain, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. So
Oh.
we can talk about the explosion. We can talk about what it felt like to lose my leg. We can have that conversation so that we're not keeping it a secret within ourselves. People avoiding it. Um, the thing that I'm doing this year for myself is, exposing more of my arms because I usually keep them covered up.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, I'm gonna show my arms, but it's my little secret, my area where where I just kept undercover all my life because I've always had big arms and muscular arms, and people used to be like football shoulders and little
Uh-huh.
comments like that. And so you instead of taking it as, hey, it's a compliment, well, it didn't hit me like that.
Okay.
And so I hid a lot of things. I avoided a lot of experiences. I got a ton of those little sweaters when I was really burning up hot, don't want it on. But
Uh-huh.
so my year has been a year of just exposing myself, any place where I've hidden to expose. But I think that people come clean when they get in connect. That's why connection is so good.
Mm.
And allowing people to have influence in your space.
Right.
Um, yeah, but and
So,
you have to tell yourself the truth eventually.
but that sounds just like a healing of anything, right? Because I know when I
Yes.
when I heal a sore or a cut, you want to put the Band-Aid on there
Mhm.
and cover it up to kind of protect it. But it's really the light and the air that does
That has the healing.
facilitates that healing.
Yep. It is the
So
same.
the same thing with our mental stuff. You know
Mental
what
stuff, our narrative. There is a modality called narrative,
we mm-hmm,
narrative, therapy, where you rewrite your story and
mm,
you discern, you tell yourself the story that you come here with, then you tell yourself about the benefits of the story, and
mm,
then you tell yourself about what the story would be like if you had it the way you wanted it to be, and what would have to no longer be there in order for this story to be a good story, a story of your bliss, a story of your happiness. And a lot of times it's the lies. The lies have to go away. You
yeah,
got to then exonerate. If it's your parents that were the issue, you got to start to exonerate them, which is what we call forgiveness, and do that process
right.
so that you can change the narrative, because everybody's doing the best they can. All of us.
Right. Well, I mean, absolutely, right? And I think that hopefully part of what we're doing here is when I talked about that debriefing
Mm-hmm.
debriefing, whatever you call it, when you clean out a wound. Hopefully that's part of what people are getting is that in order to heal, we first got to clean it up and realize that it's the toxic stuff that we bring to it that kind of causes the wound in the first place, or causes that stuff. And so until and unless we do that work, the healing, whatever we are trying to heal, won't happen. And
It will
so,
not.
yeah.
Mm.
And so, one of the things that I know, let me say this, because when I think about, sometimes when I think, and like as we're moving through, because this anatomy of the spirit is the framework that we are using, right? And as we're moving through this, I'll read some and then I'll stop and I'll think to myself, what is it that is important, especially in a particular section? And because I've read this book a couple of times, but it has been 5 years ago. But when I get to the end of a particular section, I think to myself, what is it important? What draw do I find important? And that may be different from Carolyn's
Mm.
vantage point, because we were all raised in context, right? So if your context was
Mm.
that you were Jehovah Witness, that may bring up for you some different issues than me as a Baptist and raised by, parents from out of the South,
Yeah.
or, I had a friend of mine who used to always talk about his lineage, because he talks about the number of free people that were in his family, and the different perceptions of a person whose family seemed to be out of that bondage sooner, or how they got out of the bondage. Were they emancipated, or did they, purchase their own freedom? Were they landowners, or were they?
So it makes such a big difference.
Yeah, all of those things
Wow.
become a part of our DNA.
Mhm.
And so what we bring to the table, what we come to the table with is very different. And so and how we relate to this universal presence makes a difference too. So do people worship an impotent God?
So you use that word, right?
Yes.
So I went to Liberty University and I
Okay.
wrote a paper and I used that language.
Uh-huh.
And my paper was ripped to shreds by a group of professors because I used the language of, if so and so and so and so, then we would render our God impotent. And
Okay.
it was like, I think you chose the wrong word. No, I did not choose the wrong word. That is so interesting.
And
Thank you,
you
Holy
are
Spirit.
not going to
I
shame
feel
me.
validated right now.
And you are not going to shame me for my word choice, is what the
Oh my
next thing.
goodness. It was a mess.
Because
That was
words are
crazy.
powerful.
Yeah, I guess it was because it disrupted a whole section. They were like, I think you chose. I'm like, no, I meant that word. And I tried to explain it, dumb it down, but I meant it that intently. Like,
But it's like a oxymoron. It's like an oxymoron to say
so
spirit and
true.
God next to each other is an oxymoron, but that is some people's
We do.
experience of God,
Yeah. Hmm.
right?
It's so true.
um so 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 depending upon our history,
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
it will display for us, or reveal to us what we believe about God. And I remember the first time I heard somebody say, well, if your God can't handle that, then you need to get a bigger God. Because what we don't recognize is that we have what is it Aurelia likes to say, a belief is a thought that you keep continuing to think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so some people have the belief that what we're talking about can't happen, or that they don't have the power, that they're not co-creative, or that they don't have the power to do this work, or that, people have so many different beliefs based on their perception of what God is and their relationship to it. And so and people will have a problem with that too, right? um and so I for me, it becomes this thing of, how do we how does one really do a deep dive into themselves so that they can be honest about what they believe, so then they can challenge what they believe, so that they can have a different experience? Because if I think that God is not active, or if I think that God doesn't hear me, or if I think that God is judging me, or that God don't like me, or that I'm a mess, or if I got all of these judgmental thoughts about this stuff, right, about this world, if I'm judging you, I can't help but judge me. If I'm judging God's creation, I can't help but judge God. Right. And so all of this stuff works together. And until we really,
It does.
like they say, you got to admit it to quit it.
Yes.
Until we get to the point where we're honest and true with ourselves about what it is that is playing in the ticker tape background of our minds, until we get to that point, that becomes more powerless, because you can't fix what you can't admit. You can't fix it if you can't own it.
Yes. There is a study about women who have had abortions, um, and were dying with cancer. Some of them breast cancer, ovarian cancer. And they were in hospice, or some of them were just in hospitals, but they could not get the morphine, could not get high enough
Mm.
to to get rid of the pain. And so somebody, I don't know the details of the study, and I'll look it up, anything. But somehow the record started to show that these women were carrying a guilt and a shame around something that some of them had never shared with a family member. Nobody ever knew, but something was keeping them from even being comforted with the morphine.
Right, right.
And it was amazing that once they confessed it, did whatever forgiveness work, but just the simple act of confessing it and sharing it with somebody and telling that story, that the morphine began to help. But before, they could not get, and so now when I hear of family members who are, having cancer or whatever, and the pain medicine isn't working, and they keep happening up and up, and so then I will go to a particular aunt and say, you got to release whatever it is you think God is holding you guilty of, because he's not.
Wow.
And because it won't work, even the pain relief won't work. And I think from a spiritual standpoint, I think it's the loving act of all that is, that before we transition to someplace else, for us to get a correct understanding of who we are, that we are perfect and wonderful, and that shame was a construct that kept us bound, and to clear that off so that we can move on and do whatever it is we were supposed to do next. I find it to be graciousness. So we don't have to carry that issue into another space. Whatever happens after this, we don't have to bring that there.
So let me say this, because amen to that, right? A few years ago, I bought this. I don't know whose book it is. I wanna call his name, because sometimes I think it's only fair that you credit people with the work that they do, but I can't. I can't even grab what the book is, but there was a book where, there was a thing about tapping some years ago,
EFT.
where you do
Mm-hmm.
tapping. Um, and so there was another guy who wrote this book about magnet therapy. And he was
Okay.
saying that you could basically heal people's pain with a magnet. And so I bought this big, powerful magnet, but he said, you can get a refrigerator magnet, right? And he says, and what you do is you're waving this thing over a person. You got to ask them for permission. And then you
Right.
kind of do the magnet thing over their bodies. And he says, and part of this is he started noticing that when he would get into people's space, whether he was doing chiropractic work, I think he was, when he was doing a chiropractic thing, he says it's almost like, and this is just like Carolyn Miss, he says, when you put your hands on a person, you can feel where they're tight. And so he says, and you've got to ask that particular region what it is that
What
they're
is it
holding
doing?
on to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the power of them speaking to that, or making that admission, whatever that may be, can be the healing stuff that lifts off of it. Now, I'm telling you that because I decided that I bought that powerful magnet, and I'll have to bring it in here one day. It's on a big, thing. Anyway, I bought this magnet, and I go over to a woman's house who has MS. And so that's what I told her I was going to do. I was like, let's just talk, and I'm gonna wave this magnet over her. I forget the entire process. There's a process that goes to it. And so I did the magnet part of it, and then I sat down and I started like, let's just have a conversation. And that day she said to me, I've never told anybody this, but I was raped by Deacon so-and-so back when I was this age. And it was really like one of those, like when you think about that, you're talking to somebody that's 80, 90 years old, and they start to talk about something that they have never talked about before, and that providing a release. Now it doesn't clear, it doesn't cure
No,
something,
no.
right? But it is a start at a release. And so what you want to, what I always have this desire to say is like, man, I'm one of those people who I'm gonna take my purse, like, my mother had my mother's purse was always a mess. She would, she put a muffin down in there, and you call yourself as a little kid going up there like you're going to get something out of your mama's purse, and you come up with stuff all up under your nails. And my mother's purse was like a toxic dump. But and lately I haven't even been carrying a purse, but I'm one of those people that I go into, especially when I was in therapy, I go into the therapist's office and I'm taking my purse and I'm dumping it out on the thing, and we're looking and like saying, oh, look at this mess, right?
Yes, that's it.
Because that's the only way,
That's it.
you're gonna really get down to the root of the issue. But we have been shamed so much. People shame us for, boys are not supposed to cry. Boys can't. I mean, it's all of these rules that people, who said so?
Right.
Right? As if you can't have feelings.
Yes.
Or,
Yes.
what Everett said the other day, Everett was talking about that idea of trust.
Yes.
It's like you are entitled to have a internal life that I am not privy to.
Yes.
Right?
Woo, I
But
love it.
but if you
Yes.
want to share, I want to be able to hear you in a way that's not judging you
Yes.
for having hopes and dreams or fears or or whatever it is that you come with, you know, I want to be that, have that ability to hold that space for that.
Yes.
And
And
I think
that's
everybody
the
needs that.
reciprocal we all need to have. We need to have a space like that. And I think that in the beginning is the intention when we connect with people, but because we aren't taught to pay attention, we share in a space and then we don't get what we expect to get back. And then there's the brick. And then we do it again, and there's the other brick, and then the other brick, and the other brick, and the other brick. And then before we know it, we got this wall constructed, be it ovarian cancer, breast cancer, MS, lupus, high blood pressure, heart disease. Because we've made some attempts to do that, and it didn't turn out the way we expected it. And so then we just keep it locked up, and we have labels for that, and it's perpetuated everywhere. People have made it okay to not be safe, to be who you are. I mean, even when in sitcoms we make fun of dads and things like that, it doesn't make it safe to be who you are.
Right.
And so people get that buildup of hurt or negative experience.
Don't people say that we're as sick as our secrets or something like that?
You are as healthy as your secret. You can be as sick as your secrets too, but if you got secrets, you're probably not healthy.
Okay. Yeah.
So the number of secrets you have is the level to your healthiness.
Yeah.
So if you are a very secretive person, or I didn't lie, but I didn't actually tell you the truth. All right, get away from me with that, because you're not okay.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah, but you know, and yeah, that's what I guess I do have that desire all the time to be able to hear somebody's stuff and know that, you know, that first off, that it's an honor. It's such an honor.
Yeah.
To be a space where people feel as though they can, like, it's a safe space. Like I'm a safe space to hold. And I honestly though, Stephanie, because I will tell you, I'm bad. I gotta get better at this. And I hate to admit this, but half the time people tell me stuff and I can't even remember it. Or I don't attach it to them. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
maybe that's not such a bad idea.
Well, it's bad because I really try to do exercises to work on my memory, because I don't know if I think it. I think that I need to have a better memory about stuff, but I can't. Most of the stuff that people tell me, it's like it's transformed. It's like, and it's done. It's, you know. And then if you were to tell me, I told you that, it's like, oh, you did.
I live with aging parents, so those type of things no longer offend me.
So I want to make sure. So there's a couple of things so we talked a little bit about shame. And at some point, I want to circle back and make sure that we talk about shame, because I think that there has been a lot of work that has been done around shame. And I think especially for women, not saying that men haven't been shamed as well, but for women, a lot of times we're shamed about stuff we have absolutely no control over. You know, you get shamed for
just being a girl. How about that?
Yeah. Right. And this idea that there is supposed to be some inferiority about that. You know, don't show up being too smart or too intelligent. Apologize that you even have to be in the room. You know, apologize that you look feminine, that you got big boobs. Apologize for being able to tempt somebody. Stuff we don't even have control over.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I think that that shame across the board is something that we need to touch on at some point. And the other thing is I want to make sure, because we're already at the 8 o'clock hour, believe it or not. But here's one thing that I wanted to make sure that I talk about God, right?
Mm,
Um, because like we started off talking about this idea we've got about God. And
indeed.
one of the things that I want to kind of touch on is this, sometimes our relationship, we get mad or upset with the things that happen in our life and think somehow that God did these things to us.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But I remember when I started taking courses in New Thought, one of the things that was impressed upon me was that God is like Lord is like law.
Mm, that's good. And it's true.
So there is a impersonal piece about God, that when it says that God is no respecter of person,
Person. Mhm.
not getting upset with you because of your idiosyncrasies, your quirks, whether or not you consider yourself to be good or bad, not getting caught up in your judgments, especially not your self-accept or self-assessments. God is not in that business of sweating your stuff,
Yes.
right? So
That
when
is, I mean, that's what that's the understanding that all mankind needs to come upon.
yeah,
Not just new thought. Like I hope that if nothing else, this experience um will help people to have that aha.
mm, yeah, but so it's got to happen on purpose. That's why I'm trying to thresh this out for a second. Um, this impersonal nature of God. So God does not punish you in spite of what you may believe.
Oh,
You are not punished for your sins.
that's not a thing either, but okay.
Yeah, but by them,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So when we started out this talk, we were talking about, well, before we really invited everybody in, we were talking about that you are at the effect of the thoughts that you think. And so if what you are doing, like whether you're lying or cheating or being duplicitous, whether you are whatever the stuff that you do,
Mm-hmm.
that stuff impacts you and it impacts your health
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
you've set that in motion.
Mm-hmm.
You remember you are a co-creator. If you need to rewind this and go back and listen to what I said at the beginning of it, because you are co-creative, you are receiving exactly what you put out. Remember how when we used to say, if you pointing at me, you got
Yeah.
pointing
Three
back
fingers
at
pointing back
you,
at you. Mm-hmm.
right? So what you give out, you get back. That is not somebody out there doing that. It is you doing that.
True. And when that becomes a revelation, it is kind of it no, it is freedom.
is freedom, but you also you also understand your profound responsibility to act with integrity, to speak with integrity, to know that everything you do, your soul is keeping a tab on you. Your soul, not something else. It is right here.
My biography becomes my biology.
Yes, that energy in which you live, move, that is where all of your stuff is stored. Your data is this, like this body, this aura, all of that is data recording everything. And if you don't, if you forget that you lying, it does not. If you forget that you are not sure, if you forget that, oh, and here's the thing, because people always crack up at me. I have gone to the store and somebody give me back the wrong change, and I'll be like, like,
right.
You're not, because that's, it's one thing, we want to make it seem like, well, she gave it to me. No. That what does integrity dictate? Right? That I'm looking out for your interests just like I'm looking out for mine.
Yeah. And this is just a test.
Right. That movie, The Family Man, was so good about pointing that out. Like, man. So when we think about the way that God is consistent, right? The laws just are what they are. Like 2 + 2 is 4.
Yes.
It is just that sure. And so when you are dealing with this, right, when you're dealing with the allness of God, it is not sitting up like saying, oh, I'm gonna have mercy on Sandra today. No, it is saying, to me, yes. What do you believe in? Yes. What are you thinking? Yes. What are you deserving?
Always,
yes. Yes.
Always, yes. Always, yes. I'm broke, yes.
Yes. Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you're thinking about? I'm saying yes to it, giving you more of that. Because this is an abundant universe.
Yes.
And it's saying yes.
Yes.
Man, how big is that?
Yeah, that was huge for me when I came to accept that reality and challenge it. And challenge it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we have got to recognize, let me read this. It's one thing if you get home and realize that she gave you the wrong change. Is stealing if you see it and don't react to it. Okay, so I am one of those people, Erica, that I always know what you gave me, right? Because I am of the school of thought. I trust, but I verify. When I trust but verify, that kind of keeps me on a. I know what you gave me, right? I know exactly what you gave me. I and will stand there in your face and count it, because I want to know. I'm just looking to see if this, because I may miss 2 or 3 cents, but I know what you gave me. So I can't even get with that. I realized it later. No. I'm just saying. But I'm glad you are challenging me on that you're paying attention and that you're challenging me on that. But no, I know exactly what you gave me. So one of the things I think is that we have to really get that yes, that we are responsible, that responsibility, and it is not something out there, but it is something in us that needs to have our undivided attention. Um,
And there's not a God or energy or a higher being that's monitoring us and waiting for failures and waiting for, like,
oh,
that doesn't exist.
right, right,
It's
right.
like gravity. I think that is the best explanation. What goes up must come down. That just is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
life just brings us the natural isness of the choices that we make, or
Mm-hmm.
the thought, more so the thoughts that we think.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
So
isness of what life is, and just practice it. It's so fun.
yeah, and you know what? And one of the statements I love is God is always in the ising business, right?
Mm.
Ain't no
I never heard that
halfness to it.
before.
It's the isingness of
Busy.
it.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And it is everywhere, present
Yeah.
and all of that. Okay, so wait a minute. Sandra, you are not perfect. There has to be one time in life where maybe you were distracted and weren't paying attention to what they gave you back. Now, wait a minute. So is that that's not perfection? That's not even that's not a question of perfection. Um, so is that how
Did
I
you?
learned to always count my change when I'm there? I
Maybe
think
so.
I think that my mother, when I used to go to the bank right up here with my mother, she would take me to the counter and she would tell me, she was like, you never walk away from the window without counting your
Count
money.
your money.
I remember that as a little child.
That's a record, a song on a record or something. Because
Right.
everybody, I was
Yeah.
taught the same thing.
Yeah.
Always count your money before, even at the
Right.
Walmart when they want to hurry up and rush and put
Hmm.
it in your hand with the receipt.
Hmm.
Like, let me
Hmm.
just check this out,
Yeah.
especially because people don't count on their own nowadays. They use the register to tell them how much to
Right.
give,
Right. Hmm.
So yeah.
Right. And it doesn't have to
I hate
be
that you seen
receiving
that as
change back.
perfection.
And it doesn't have to be receiving change back. It could simply be that the bill was cheaper at the restaurant than you expect. But if you didn't inspect the bill because it was cheaper. Um,
Um,
Okay, so yeah, I have had things where people didn't charge me for a drink or something like
mm-hmm,
that.
mm-hmm.
And usually they are conscious, and most of the time they want credit for the fact that they didn't put a drink on there. So sometimes I have actually just tipped them a couple of dollars more than I normally would have, because I acknowledge the gift and sometimes want to give the gift right back. So if that is the case, if we're just talking about getting something, yes, in those circumstances, do I say, hey, I have told people that they have mischarged me, but in the case of a restaurant, most of the time when people don't charge you, or they forget something, they do it on purpose. But I have been known to point those things out,
Yeah,
like, hey,
I think because life is about intention, the
yeah,
mind,
yeah.
so, and the heart space. So it is about intention. That's why I said, I don't think that it's more about being a perfectionist. I think it's more about being intentional.
Uh-huh.
And um
But
and like, so if you see it and you notice it and you keep it to yourself because you don't want to acknowledge it, change it, or fix it, is the part that's the integrity part.
mm,
That's the integrity piece. So yeah, it happens, but it's okay to say, hey, this did you mean to not charge me for that? did
yeah.
you did you mean to not charge me for that?
Because you know what? Because I am just as quick to tell them when they overcharged me,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, Alan has, when we go out to eat, Alan has handed a person, he'll take the bill and sometimes just hand it right back to them, without looking at it. And I'm like thinking like, whoa, 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 wait a minute, you
I'm
know.
good.
And because he has traditionally not been one of those people that, good Catholic guy who has not been one of those people that would challenge folks on stuff, right? For whatever reason.
And isn't that amazing that you're in his space right now?
I got no issue with that, with saying, hey, hold up, let me see that.
Oh, that's precious.
Yeah, so
that's what life does.
Okay, so she says, but that's what I'm talking about, the integrity part. If you see it, but don't make an attempt to fix it. I am not really talking about perfection. However, Sandra made it sound like this type of situation never happens to her. Oh, please recognize that I am blessed, Erica. I am blessed. I am blessed. People give me stuff and send stuff my way. I am a magnet for money. I am a magnet for blessings, for good stuff. Right? But that is not to say, so I receive all the time. People are amazed at the stuff that I receive because just people want to bless me. And because I'm blessable and because I'm a blessing. And so I recognize that is part of my experience. I don't ever want to try to make it sound like that's not my experience. I am so blessed. I'm so blessed, so blessed, so blessed. But on the other hand, I need to see it. I need to acknowledge the fact that I'm blessed, because that is in part the blessing.
Well, and so, that's the magic.
Oh yes. I try to be consistent, be like, woo, I got, woo. I'm silly like that, right? Dang, this, I got it, but I think that people really, when they're gifting you something, they want you to know that they're gifting it, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so let me be the one to say, dang, thank you. If nothing else, I want to be able to acknowledge it and say thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just haha, thank you.
And so and what I hear you saying is that you can be blessed, and then you're also always looking for an opportunity to bless someone. Yeah. So let's take, for instance, someone gives me the wrong change. It is a blessing for me to acknowledge that and give it back to them. Their drawers aren't short. They're not worried about losing their jobs. Yeah. Like that's being a blessing. But when you know that you are being blessed and you don't look at that mishap as, oh, I've been blessed, but maybe an opportunity to bless someone. So this accident fell into my lap so that I can be a blessing. Not, too bad for her, somebody's drawer gonna be short.
Yeah. And even that carries, because when you walk away and know that what your action, or you not not fixing that, could impact them. Mm-hmm. Right. Say, for instance, if
go ahead.
If you saw a crime, or you committed a crime or something like that, and you let the other person take the blame for it, just your silence
is criminal,
can have an impact on somebody else's life. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know that, I struggle with, I struggle around stuff like that. I struggle around stuff like that. That's not something that I would take lightly. But there are no small choices. Every choice we make is a choice for integrity and a choice for love, or for, a call for love, or for some darkness or whatever. But yeah, these choices that we make are absolutely impactful. Now
they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I to bring it back, because I know we're closing up, is to say that the intention of the conversation is to say that there is no God watching you make these choices but that the choices have their own natural consequences, and they have them unchecked, they become sicknesses and diseases
Mhm.
and jacked up lives and addictions and repetitive relationships, because we're always on the journey of repairing. We're
Right.
always on the journey of repairing. And so there is no God that is keeping score, but yet we keep score if we are paying attention.
Right. Right.
Usually when we're not paying attention.
Well, we all, because whether we're paying attention or not, our soul is, right? And it
Yes,
keeps
yes,
a
yes,
log of all of that stuff. Now, let me
exactly.
say this too, because I want you to hear me clearly. This is not us judging you, right?
No,
This is not
no.
us sitting up trying to tell you that you are a good person or a bad person or any of that stuff. That is not. You are free to make decisions, whatever decisions you decide. All we're trying to say is that every choice has a consequence to it. And those choices in your life just depends on the experience that you want to have, you know,
Right.
and how you show up. And so I love the way that Erica lives out loud. I love
Oh,
the
I
way
do
that
too.
her energy is in the world, how you project it forth. But but there is a and this is not having anything to do with you, because I'm gonna put a period there, right? I love the way you show up, period. Right now, there are people though who only show up because they believe that people are because they're entertaining other people. So it's kind of like a show. Instead of showing up, they're acting up.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I said that. So it's understood.
Yes.
So to show up in your truth and to act
Because
from
they haven't been
integrity.
given permission. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're not talking about pageantry. We're not talking about, the facade that people put on. We are talking about doing, doing you, doing who you are, and being true in that doing.
And discovering it. And I think the
Yes.
first off the hook, I'm going to speak for us. I mean, I know it's for all people, but I'll speak for our community, people of color. We need to understand that God is not a condemning force. And I think when we first started talking weeks ago, one of the things that I said declared is that I just believe that there is something magical and special about people of color, and that we have been lulled to sleep in a world that puts shame and condemnation, which is the biggest boulders
Mm-hmm.
on growth and on our heart space,
Mm-hmm.
and that to wiggle yourself out of that and get free is so important. Is why I had decided to help with my girlfriend with bringing mental health to the forefront without paying, because people don't, you know uh, people of color most often don't come for therapy, and so they don't get an opportunity to meet me to unpack some of that stuff. So I think that this platform and being able to say that God is not a God of judgment, like we got it all wrong, as the conversation with God says, you got me all wrong.
Right.
You got me all
Right.
wrong. And
Right.
if we embrace that concept, and then to say, well, then who are you? What is a God? You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's just, to me, it's like it's the beginning of a paradigm shift.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my humble opinion,
You
it
got
just
me
starts.
twisted. This is what God was.
Yes.
You got me twisted. I ain't do that to you. Kind of like I was
Quit
doing
putting
my brother.
all on me.
I ain't do that to you. Yeah, look,
Putting all of
everybody
this on
knows
me.
I'm loving. Everybody knows that I'm not trying to hurt. I'm not out to get you. I'm not that person. You
Yeah.
you know what, people, and I can't believe that you let people think that's the kind of stuff I would do, right? I'm not doing that to you.
Hmm.
You're doing that to you.
Hmm.
And if you could just hear Jesus telling you this, right? If you could just hear Jesus telling you how it works and that it works, man, that would just be like, whew. And sometimes we just need permission. Permission to lead our audacious, beautiful lives, right? Permission to dream our audacious, beautiful
one of our
dreams.
biggest fears, that I could be right. I could be right about this right here about me. I could be right about it.
Yeah. And so guess what? No. It ain't them. You know how they say it ain't
they
them.
say, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's all you. And you can make a decision today to change your mind. And how do you make that decision? It is, God, show me one step at a time. Show
moment
me.
by moment.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's so good.
I talk about folks and their proclamations and all of this stuff, because everybody wants to, ride around with the personalized plates and I'm so blessed stuff. I'm always talking about stuff like that. Or I talk about how people somehow think God is on Facebook, and so they pray to the Facebook God and all that stuff. I'm always talking about stuff like that. But I saw a license plate yesterday, and the license plate just said "Pray before," and I thought, oh, that's a good one.
That is good.
That's a good one. So I have to acknowledge that. Pray before.
That's good.
Yes. So I will tomorrow get back into some more stuff to share out of Anatomy of Spirit. I know we didn't read anything out of there today. Not that we didn't have stuff to read, but I just think that I keep going back to let's lay a foundation as we move forward. To make sure that, because when you share something before people are ready, it is really like trying to take medicine that your body can't process or do anything with. It just
right. You don't even know what you need it for, which is another evidence that the mind does the healing, but we'll leave it. But yes, you got to know what you're taking it for and where area you come to heal. So no, I totally agree, and I love the the topics, and I love the clarity. Because some things you can take for granted, and so and you make some assumptions, and
So you guys, here's if whenever you're watching this, I don't know if you're watching this as we're doing it, or if this is a month, we did it a month ago or a year ago. I don't know. But wherever it is, part of this is, like I said, I don't know if it's yesterday or day before, is just having a willingness to come to the work. Right? To do your own healing stuff. So if you have things that you need to work through, or if you think that it may be something that is impacting your health, the first thing is that, imagine that we got a lot of spirit beings, light beings, teachers, ancestors, ascended masters, angels, whatever you want to call them. We're surrounded by them. They're crowding into my space right here. They're crowding into your space. And half of them don't have nothing to do.
Because we don't give them stuff to do. That ain't my story, but yeah.
Of course, in Miracle says, A Course in Miracles says that we don't ask God for too much. We ask too little. So, so put them to work, right? Why don't you just say, and it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. You don't have to believe anything I say. But, just why not try it? Say, hey, y'all, what do I need to work on? right? And
Mhm.
then pick up a pencil and just hold
That's
it,
what I said
right?
yesterday.
Pencil
Yeah,
and paper and just hold it. And then see what
it's
comes to mind. And if
amazing.
something comes to mind, right? Like the boys on the schoolyard and the, you know, that used to, you know, do what they do. Write that down, boys, right? I need to forgive boys. If it is a teacher or that, you know, it may be way in the back of your mind and you may think, oh, I'm over that. That wasn't nothing, right? Write it down. If it is, let's see,
But
if
if it
it's
shows up, it's something.
right, right. So, but some,
If it shows up, it's something. It may not, what to do with it is different. And you look for instructions. But if it comes up,
yeah, just jot it down.
yeah.
And 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 here's what I guess what I'm trying to say is it's still at play.
It's your
Ooh,
biology.
wait a minute, wait a minute. Here's the wonderful thing. Here's a wonderful analogy. I hope everybody saw Jumanji. Did you see Jumanji?
Yes. So long
So
ago.
remember in Jumanji, Robin Williams' character was stuck in the jungle out there for 30 years until somebody rolled the dice again, not realizing that the game was
Oh,
still
that's
at
good.
play. So
That's
just
so
because you
good.
walked away from it doesn't mean that the game ain't still at play.
Yes. And remember, I was saying about I was always going to get to this place.
Yes.
It was like this remembering that this moment was going to happen because even though I thought the faucet was shut down here, when I got to the space, something overtook me and I felt like I was always going to get here. This
Yay.
was always going to be a thing
Yes.
because things are always at play. My biography is happening. It's not forgotten.
Yeah, and so one of the wonderful things I like to tell people
I like it.
is you know, because the Course in Miracles says that, you know, we always think that we can do something, like you can make another choice, right? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
you can be an atheist, or you can be, you know, agnostic. You always think you can make another choice, but
Mm-hmm.
there is no other choice. you
Hmm.
you can theoretically in your mind say, oh, I'm not going to choose God, I'm not going to walk that path, but you're always on the path.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that you are the little Red Riding Hood. You're over the hill and through the woods and all of these circuitous routes and everything, but the destination is the same because there is nothing else. This God is it.
I
It's
have a
the
friend that's
only game
always
going.
saying, Stephanie, and my mama, Stephanie, be patient. Can you just be patient? That today just spoke to me. Like it was like, yes, I am going to practice that experience of being patient because things are always at work. Might as well.
Yes, yes, is
That's
always.
really good.
And so it's at play until we basically like take it out of play. So
Hmm.
if you got some stuff, you know, that happened to you when you were 2 years old, or happened to you in the first grade, or happened to you on this playground, or happened to you, it is still at play
Until you
until
do
you
something.
withdraw your energy from it. And the way that you withdraw
Yes.
your energy from it is by forgiving it and releasing it.
Yes.
I forgive it and I let it go. So
The women in the hospice.
whatever it is, yeah,
Hmm.
whatever it is,
That's so good.
whatever it is, if you asked and said, I'm willing, and show me, and you wrote it down, then it's the little boys. I don't even have to know their names, right? It could be John, it could be Jimmy, it could be Michael, it could be, I don't know, right? I don't even have to know their names, but God, I let me do a collective I'm gonna do a
Might just do it,
collective
get it
on
out the
that
way. That's
whole
right.
situation. I forgive them. I release them to
Yes.
their highest and best good. You know,
Yes.
the Christ in me forgives and releases. Just do the work. Just do the
That's
work.
my favorite line. We got to
Just,
do the
yeah,
work. We
do the
do.
work. All right. All right.
Yes, this was good, and it's definitely over, but it's good.
Oh
That
my
was
gosh,
good.
we are way over time. Y'all, I thank you for being here. Tomorrow we will probably be within a certain time frame because you know I come on
Oh,
at
we
1
got work.
o'clock
Yeah, you
on
got church.
Sundays. Yes, but I washed my hair today. So look,
You're ahead of the game.
yeah, I can see the sun reflecting off my hair. Uh um what was that, a Lionel Richie song? I love to see the sunlight in your hair, to tell you time and time again how much I care. Sometimes I think my heart will overflow. Hello, I just
Oh,
got to let you
hello.
know.
Oh, nice. I didn't know the words. I
Is
love
it me
that.
you're looking for?
I know the chorus. That's
Yeah,
good. Okay.
yeah. So yeah, thank goodness. Anyway,
It's been fun, girl.
so
Thank you.
so yeah, I so appreciate you, Stephanie. Let me oh goodness gracious.
Oh, I wanted to tell you that the
Okay.
kale and the collards, this could have been off subject, off screen, but they came back from last year.
What?
I have a
Oh,
picture. I will send them to you.
that
It's
is
so
amazing.
amazing. I know. Yes, I'm going to pick some and make me some kale chips today to help my mom in the
Ooh,
garden.
you know
Got my
what?
work.
That's that I love kale chips. You know what? I might have gotten rid of that. Oh, okay, here we go. It's on my bulletin board. Okay. That's so amazing. Even before I even thought about it. Okay, so the light of God surrounds me. The
The
light of
light of
God
God
surround you.
surrounds me.
The love of God enfolds me.
The love of God enfolds me.
The
Enfolds
power of
you.
God protects me.
Power
The
of God.
presence, yes, the power of
Mm,
God protects me. The presence of God watches over me.
the presence of God watches over you
Yeah, wherever I am,
wherever I am. It is so. It is true.
God is.
It's
Yes.
true. Yes.
Wherever you are, God
God
is,
is.
and
Yeah.
all is well.
I
So
like that.
go and have an amazing day. I'm going to get this together because I got the long version of this practice of the presence. So go and have an
Is that what
amazing
it
day,
is? The
though.
practice of the presence? I'm
Yes,
gonna look for
daily
that.
practice of the presence. You know, I love when Miriam Williamson does one, and she says that there are angels to your left and angels to your right, angels before you and angels behind you, angels above you and below you, wherever you go, right? There is, you are always surrounded. And so, you know, she'll say, go in peace. And she says, and just knowing that whenever you reach out, Jesus is basically reaching out to you. It's kind of like when you're walking along, you know how when you're walking with somebody, sometimes it's like you could just reach out your hand and their hand is already receptive to it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, she says that that's really what happens with us in our walk, that there is always a receptive hand to hold.
Yeah.
You just have to reach out. And
Yeah.
and that idea is beautiful and is heartwarming. That and
Very
you know it is
comforting.
true. Yeah, you know it's true. Because
Mm-hmm.
you know
Mm-hmm.
when you try it, it's actually there.
So good.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. All right. So
All right.
thank
Have an
you,
amazing
Stephanie. Yes.
Saturday. Thank
Thank you,
you. I appreciate
everybody.
you. Thanks,
Yes.
everybody.
Blessings to you
Yes. All
all.
right.
And yeah, share this, talk about it. But do your list and let's do the work. All right. All right.
Yes.
Love y'all.
All right. Have
See
a
ya.
good day.
Bye. Bye.